My name is Mara. I am 26 years old, and I live in a small coastal town called Harbor Glen. From the outside, my life might look normal. But every morning, I wake up with fear in my chest. Every night, I cry quietly so no one hears. I want to leave this life, but I don't know where to go. When I was a child, things were different. My mother used to hum soft songs while she braided my hair. She made warm soup on cold nights and kissed my forehead before I slept. My father worked at a small fishing shop near the docks. He always smelled like salt water and bread. He used to bring home fresh rolls from the bakery next door. I had a younger sister, Ellie. She followed me everywhere and laughed at everything. But when I turned 8, everything fell apart. One morning, my father went to work like always, but he never came home. We waited for hours, then days, then weeks. My mother stared out the window every night, whispering his name. People in town said he ran away with someone else, but my mother refused to believe it. 2 years later, my mother became sick. Her skin grew pale and her voice faded. She stopped singing. She couldn't cook or clean anymore, so I took care of Ellie. I was only 10, but I felt like a mother. One night, my mother held my hand and whispered, "Mara, take care of your sister. You're stronger than you know." The next morning, she was gone. After that, life only got harder. My mother's cousin, Uncle Henry, came to take care of us. At first, he seemed kind. He paid the bills, cooked simple food, and promised to keep us safe. But the kindness didn't last. Henry started drinking. Every night, he came home angry. If Ellie spilled water, he yelled. If I didn't finish chores fast enough, he threw things. One night, he slapped me across the face because dinner was late. I wanted to run away, but I was just a kid. I had nowhere to go, no money, no family. I stayed for Ellie. She was only 7, and she needed me to protect her. Years passed. I learned how to survive, how to stay quiet, how to make everything perfect before Henry came home. I cooked, cleaned, and never talked back. I became invisible. When I was 15, I met a boy named Jonah. He worked at the corner market near my school. He had green eyes and a gentle smile. He always said hello. One afternoon, he handed me a small chocolate and said, "You look tired. Are you okay?" I wanted to cry, but I just nodded. Jonah started waiting for me after school. We talked about simple things, books, music, places we wanted to see. He said he wanted to travel far away from Harbor Glen. I said I wanted that too. One cold evening, he said, "Then come with me." I was terrified, but I was also desperate. I told Ellie I would come back for her someday. I left a note under her blanket. That night, I ran to Jonah. He lived in a tiny attic room above the market. The room was small and messy, but it felt safe. He made tea for me and covered me with a warm blanket. For the first time in years, I felt peace. For a while, life was good. We walked by the water. We watched the stars. I thought I had finally found love. But then Jonah lost his job, and everything changed. He started drinking. He stayed inside all day, angry at the world. He said I didn't understand him. He said I was lucky he kept me. His words cut like knives. One night, he pushed me so hard I fell and hit the floor. He apologized after, crying. I forgave him. But the next week, he did it again. And again. He had become another Henry. When I turned 17, I found out I was pregnant. I told Jonah, hoping he would change. Instead, he yelled, "Are you trying to trap me?" That night, he smashed a bottle on the floor. I cried myself to sleep. One day, after a terrible fight, I went to the clinic. A nurse saw the bruise on my arm and whispered, "You don't have to live like this." She gave me a card with the address of a women's shelter. That night, while Jonah snored on the bed, I packed a small bag and left. The shelter was in a town an hour away. It was quiet and full of women like me, broken, scared, trying to rebuild. I stayed there until my baby was born, a tiny girl with bright eyes. I named her Mira. She was beautiful. When I held her, I whispered, "I will never let anyone hurt you." I worked hard. The shelter helped me get a job at a small cafe. I lived in a single room with one chair and one bed. It wasn't much, but it was mine. For months, I felt strong. I read to Mira at night. I took her to the park. I smiled again. But one afternoon, while walking home, I heard someone behind me say, "Mara?" I turned. It was Jonah. He looked rough, messy hair, dirty clothes, shaking from alcohol. "I missed you," he said. My body froze. "I want to see my daughter." I said no. He grabbed my arm. I pulled away and ran. That night, I held Mira close and cried. I went to the police the next day. They promised to help, but fear returned to my life. I checked every door twice. I never let Mira out of my sight. The shelter manager asked if I wanted to talk to a counselor. I said no at first, but later I said yes. Her name was Grace. She had soft eyes and a calm voice. I told her everything, my father, my mother, Henry, Jonah. She didn't judge me. She said, "You survived. That makes you brave." No one had ever said that to me. Slowly, my heart began to heal. Mira turned too. She loved singing and running in circles. Her laughter filled the room like sunlight. One day at the cafe, a man walked in. He had dark curly hair and a warm smile. He ordered tea. The next day he came again. And again. His name was Lucas. He talked to me about books, rainy days, and old songs. He never asked personal questions. He never touched me without asking. He just respected me. One afternoon he asked, "Can I walk you home?" My heart said no. My fear said run. But something inside me whispered, "Maybe it's okay." I said, "Just to the end of the street." He walked beside me, slow and gentle. Not too close, not too far. He said, "You're strong, Mara. I don't know your past, but I can see it in your eyes." For the first time in years, I felt warm. Weeks passed. Lucas became part of my life, carefully, softly. He bought Mira picture books. He helped me carry groceries. He smiled at me like I mattered. But deep down, I still carried fear. One night, Lucas invited me and Mira for a small picnic near the shore. The sky was orange. Mira played in the sand. Lucas looked at me and said, "You don't have to be afraid. I'm not him." I wanted to believe him. That night, I dreamed of little me holding Ellie's hand in the dark. Then I saw Mira holding a candle. She was light. She was hope. The next morning, I called Ellie. We hadn't spoken in years. When she answered, I cried. She said, "Mara, is that you?" I said, "I'm sorry, I should have come back." She said, "You survived. That's enough. I love you." For the first time in a long time, I felt peace. But then 1 week later, I got a letter from Jonah. He wrote, "I want to see my daughter." My hands shook. I took the letter to the shelter staff. They told me to talk to a lawyer. I was scared, but I wasn't the same girl anymore. I told Lucas everything. He held my hand and said, "Whatever happens, I'm not going anywhere." 1 month later, I stood in a small courtroom. Jonah didn't show up. His lawyer did. They asked questions. I answered with a strong voice. I had proof, photos, police reports, witness statements. After 2 hours, the judge said, "Full custody granted to Mara." I cried, not from sadness, but from freedom. That night, I burned Jonah's letter. Months passed. I moved out of the shelter into a small yellow apartment. Mira had her own little bed. I put flowers on the windowsill. I cooked warm meals. Life wasn't perfect. I still had nightmares sometimes. I still checked the locks at night. But I wasn't afraid anymore. Lucas visited often. One evening, while Mira slept, he whispered, "I love you, not because of your past, but because of who you are now." I cried softly and said, "I love you too." I started writing my story. I wanted to help other women like me. I wanted to show them that pain doesn't define you. Now I speak at the shelter. I tell women, if I survived, you can too. I still remember the past, but I don't live in it anymore. I live for today, for warm breakfast with Mira, for quiet nights, for soft sunsets by the shore, for a safe home, for love that doesn't hurt, and for the hope that maybe, just maybe, someone reading this will find their own strength too.